Gustav Mahler's Symphony No.2, the Resurrection Symphony, is an absolute giant of the orchestral repertoire. With huge forces, it's like a sonic cathedral, immense, intricate and transcendent. But what did Mahler say in it about resurrection? And how close is his understanding to the Christian one? As Christians, how should we approach this masterpiece? Well, first, let me encourage you to enjoy the music. It's an absolute emotional roller coaster. There's awe, terror, angst, nostalgia, paranoia, serenity, reverence, more terror, and then that spine-tingling final climax. A vast swathe of human emotion is on show here, and we do well to appreciate that. But as to what inspired such a monumental composition, well, we're fortunate in that Mahler originally provided program notes for the symphony, which give us a window into his thoughts. Describing the first movement, he wrote, "There are great questions. What next? Why did you live? Why did you suffer? Is it all nothing but a huge, terrible joke? Or has this life of ours a meaning?" For Mahler, these questions were a live concern. The previous year, he'd lost his sister, mother, and grandmother. By the third movement, the existential questioning of the first seems to have given way to genuine angst and terror at the apparent meaninglessness of life. It's all very Ecclesiastes. And after a brief reverent interlude in the fourth movement, the fifth movement crashes us back into an apocalyptic drama, somewhat inspired by Revelation. Mahler wrote, "The last judgment is at hand, and the horror of the day of days has come upon us. The last trump sounds, the trumpets of the apocalypse ring out." And indeed, the music is rather terrifying. But then all falls quiet, and gently, oh so gently, a chorus of saints and heavenly hosts is heard singing. And they sing the words of a poem expressing standard Christian doctrine, beginning, "Arise, yes you will, arise from the dead, my dust, after a short rest." However, Mahler includes just 2 stanzas of the poem, after which he added his own words. And here we see how his own vision of resurrection actually differs quite starkly. And that it's in terms of who it is that conquers death. So the 2 soloists sing of winning through the passionate strivings of love, and in the final words of the whole thing, addressing humanity at large, the chorus sings, "What you have conquered will bear you to God." This then is a humanist hope, that we, through the power of our love, might conquer death and rise again. Indeed, in his program notes for this section, Mahler actually stipulated, "Lo and behold, there is no judgment. No sinners, no just men, no great and no small. There is no punishment and no reward. A feeling of overwhelming love fills us with blissful knowledge and illuminates our existence." Clearly then, this vision of resurrection is very far from the Christian hope. What we can affirm is Mahler's insistence on asking existential questions, on feeling the wrongness and absurdity of death, and of his great desire for some strength, some power that could and would conquer death such that life prevailed. But in understating humanity's sinfulness and so overestimating our virtue, Mahler tragically missed the mark, basing his hope on a fantasy that such fierce human love could actually conquer death, such that we would actually rise again, a speculative notion for which there's no evidence. However wondrously set to music it may be, and it is, I get goosebumps every time, ultimately it is a hope without basis. By contrast, the Christian hope of resurrection is founded on the real historical claim that Jesus, having been publicly executed by the Romans around 30 AD, actually rose from the dead 3 days later, and what's more, that this prefigured the bodily resurrection at the last day of all who would trust in him. This then is a hope that doesn't depend on our strivings, our spiritual feelings, on our passion, willpower, or even love. It's external, not internal. Gift, not achievement. And so it's a humbling hope because it means that we're not the hero of the story. Jesus is. And that's liberating because we don't have to rescue ourselves. I know that if I had to rely on my own capacity to love fiercely, I'd be doomed. But because Jesus, out of the fiercest love for his people, submitted to death so as to pay for their sins, there truly was one who did have the power and strength to rise again in glorious victory over death. In him we too may have real hope of bodily resurrection. This is the true fulfillment of all that Mahler longed for. As Paul writes in what is probably the most glorious passage on resurrection, 1 Corinthians 15, "When the perishable has been clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality, then the saying that is written will come true. Death has been swallowed up in victory."